Stick to it or don't, Tucker. Don't just put on a tiny bow tie and hope that no one notices. Now, from there, Tucker bounced around a bit with cancelled shows on both CNN and MSNBC, although in his time at CNN, he did manage to produce, and I don't say this lightly, the most 2003 clip of all time.
You work with Pepsi for a long time. Candidly, just between you and me, how much Pepsi do you think you drink on an average day?
I really do like Pepsi.
Really? What's your favorite kind?
I really do. My favorite kind of Pepsi's Pepsi.
Well, you don't drink Diet Pepsi or
no,
Pepsi
just regular Pepsi.
Look, I cannot stress this enough. Leave Britney alone. Don't do gotcha journalism about her Pepsi consumption. Not only has she been through a lot, she's a stone-cold legend. She's the definitional diva of the 2000s, and I guarantee you, there is not a human being on Earth who doesn't perk up when that violin hook from Toxic comes on.
Dude, that... This, oh God. This is straight up bringing back memories of my childhood. Like the Mile High Club sequence. Oh my God.
Exactly. Put some motherfucking respect on her name, Tucker. And of course, hashtag free Britney. And while Tucker eventually failed upwards into a primetime Fox show in 2016, the fascinating thing is, if you go back and watch his earlier clips, you can see him learning the tricks of his trade right in front of you. Watch him talk about Pat Buchanan, the Republican firebrand and noted anti-immigrant crusader, and break down one of Buchanan's go-to moves with the precision of a dedicated student.
I mean, Pat does raise issues that I think are important. Unfortunately, Pat Buchanan raises them in a way that I think is discredited. And when attacked, he can always fall back on the line, well, the tiny cabal that controls American politics doesn't like me because I speak truth to power. This is actually, incidentally, almost verbatim what he said the other day, that I offend the plutocracy, that I'm a wanted man by the inside the Beltway people, and in every sense cast him.
I wonder what he's talking about, guys, when Pat Buchanan says that, by the way. Like, I wonder what he's talking about. And I love that Tucker has decided, yeah, you don't need to fucking be, you don't need to hide it anymore. You can just fucking, you can take the doors off the wagon and unshackle those dog whistles. You can turn them into a fucking bullhorn.
Himself as a victim who is sort of a Karen Silkwood of politics, someone who's so truthful that he's being hunted down by the conspiracy that runs Washington. I mean, it's all a bit much.
Yeah, you're right, Tucker. It is. And that is actually a pretty salient point there. It's just incredibly hard to take, given who's making it. In the same way, it'd be hard to listen to a lecture on gun safety.
Wait, come on, give me a new Tucker Carlson. This is where you put a new Tucker Carlson clip where he says exactly the same exact thing that he was criticizing Pat Buchanan for openly stating.
Safety and overall life choices from Tekashi 6ix9ine. I don't care how good your advice is, I'm not taking it from you. Because the tiny cabal that controls American politics doesn't like me because I speak truth to power is now Tucker's signature move. He does it all the time, whenever he's criticized. A few years ago, he lost advertisers after saying, and I quote, that immigrants make our country poorer and dirtier and more divided. And this is how he fired back.
Those who won't shut up get silenced. You've seen it a million times. It happens all the time. The enforcers scream, racist, on Twitter until everybody gets intimidated. It's a tactic, a well-worn one. Nobody thinks it's real. And it won't work with this show. We're not intimidated. We plan to try to say what's true until the last day. And the truth is, unregulated mass immigration has badly hurt this country's natural landscape.
Oh, fuck off, Tucker, you relentlessly indignant picket fence. How did you go from criticizing Pat Buchanan for that precise tactic to basically imitating him? It's all, to borrow a phrase, a bit much. But that technique gets to the absolute heart of Tucker.
Merc, bro, because he's a fucking mercenary. Okay? He is a mercenary. He just does one of these. Okay, he puts his fucking finger up to the wind, figures out where it's blowing, and goes that way.
Tucker's show. So often, he positions himself as someone just asking the hard questions, the ones that they don't want you asking. Questions like, is affirmative action racist? And should America be selective with immigrants? And has the Democratic Party become anti-white and anti-male? Just asking questions while heavily implying that the answer to those questions is yes. But when in turn anyone questions him, they are not just censoring free speech, they are launching an attack on the foundations of our democracy and the vast working class who this humble TV dinner princeling somehow represents. And the most telling thing about Tucker's framing of himself...
Just curious, Andy. Just asking questions, Andy. It's my favorite thing. Buddha Filter, 2 years. Please thank my sub. Thank you, Hassan. Thank you, Buddha Filter, for the 2 years.
...as the scourge of the elites and the hero of the common man is that for Tucker, who constitutes the common man, is very selective. Take Ilhan Omar.
Exactly. This is my favorite part of... this is what I love the most, perhaps, about criticizing conservatives. This notion that you can only be a common man and a real working class American if you are, you know, even if you're black, okay, you're just shitting on other minorities and marginalized communities, including your own marginalized community that you're a part of. And the more racist you are, or the more reactionary you are, the more common man and layman you are. Tucker Carlson, as John Oliver correctly pointed out, is the most elitist, like lacrosse, liberal arts, college graduate motherfucker on the planet. And yet he is able to portray himself in the way he's able to portray himself as a working class hero, when in fact he has never been working class nor a fucking hero in his entire life, or his entire purpose as a worker, I guess, as a Fox News commentator, has been to move your attention away from the real problems that pertain to the working class in America to just reactionary garbage politics. He wants you to chew bubble gum. He wants you to eat popcorn. He wants you not to focus on the real issues. And he wants you to pay attention to the red herrings like immigrants are coming in and they're going to fuck your daughters or some shit. I'm a lacrosse playing liberal arts graduate. Okay, well, don't be a fucking asshole. Culture war bullshit.
Just watch him lose his shit over a clip that he's about to play of something she said.
If anyone should love America, it's Ilhan Omar. This country rescued her from a squalid Kenyan refugee camp and made her a national figure, quite an ascent. But Ilhan Omar is not grateful. She hates us for it. Watch Omar tell us it is time to dismantle our country.
As long as our economy and political systems prioritize profit without considering who is profiting, who is being shut out, we will perpetuate this inequality. So we cannot stop at criminal justice system. We must begin the work of dismantling the whole system of oppression wherever we find it.
Dismantle the American economy and the American system of government.
Absolutely unacceptable behavior coming from Ilhan Omar for saying that we must help the working class while being black and also being a Somali refugee. Somali refugees are not allowed to say things like, we need to uplift the working class. Everybody knows that. This is something only Tucker Carlson can talk about.
Institutions that generations of Americans built over hundreds of years.
All right, there is already enough there in the sneering condescension that Ilhan Omar should be quietly grateful her entire life because she was granted asylum when she was a child. But let's just consider the vast distance between what you just heard her say and what he seemed to hear. Because according to Tucker, dismantling the system of oppression means dismantling the entire American economy and system of government. Now, did he inadvertently make a nuanced point about how systemic oppression is definitionally baked into every level and facet of that very same system? Yeah, yes he did. Am I going to give him credit for doing that? Fuck no, especially not when this is what he said next.
The problem is there are many of us here who do like this country. We live here. We don't want to destroy it. We have...
Yeah, dismantling systems of oppression that hold back the working class would mean ruining this country, okay? You know, changing the racial hierarchy, for example, or at least like pushing for equality would be ruining this country, and we like it the way it is. Like, go back to your own country is precisely what Tucker Carlson is saying here, but with more words. But of course, because he has a demeanor that is acceptable to the aesthetic-loving liberals, leftists, whoever the fuck likes Tucker Carlson, all of a sudden, what he's saying seems a little bit more intellectualized, okay? When it's not. He's basically, this is the equivalent of a cousin fucking racist hick turning around and being like, go back to your own country, a brown woman, I don't want to hear you. That's all that Tucker Carlson is doing here, okay? We like the way things are around these parts. We like the racial hierarchy. I mean, they wouldn't say racial hierarchy, but we like the way things used to be in my pop-pop's time. And we want to keep it that way. Go back to your own goddamn country. Brown woman, Muslim man. That's it. That's what Tucker Carlson just said here. But he added a coat of intellectual, he added an intellectual patina to the reactionary politics that he peddles on a daily fucking basis with a side of culture wars. So all of a sudden, he's acceptable in liberal circles. And the same dumbasses who speak like that enjoy Tucker Carlson because they see him as an elitist who agrees with them. And that's why they think, you know, oh, well, he's a real guy who understands the working man's plight. Because that's what it is. As a working man who inherited his grandfather's jet ski dealership, I know that the most important problem that befalls the American working class is not being able to say the N-word and minorities coming into this goddamn country and saying that the country has racism in it.
Every right to fight to preserve our nation and our heritage and our culture.
Wow. Preserve our heritage and culture. That is direct. In fact, his pre-written caption there, we have to fight to preserve our nation and heritage, drew a lot of comparisons to the 14 words, the famous white supremacist slogan that says,
thank you for the raid, brother. Just sucking down on a Diet Mountain Dew Major Melon here. So, I was going to run an ad because it's the top of the hour right now, but I'm not going to do it since there's a lot of people that just came in. Thank you for the raid, Nessuer. Thank you for the raid, gamer friend.
we must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. And when you put the two together, there is, a slight similarity there. I'm just saying, if you typed Tucker's quote into a blank Word document, 9 times out of 10, Clippy's going to ask, are you trying to recite the 14 words? Now, of course, Clippy has been asking that a lot more ever since he started spending so much time on YouTube. Careful how much time you spend on there, Clippy. It's turning you into an arsehole. And if you're thinking, well, come on, that seems like a bit of a stretch. You can't know what Tucker means by our heritage and culture. You should know that he hasn't always been that disciplined about his messaging. In the late 2000s, he used to call into a radio show hosted by shock jock Bubba the Love Sponge. And in those calls, the thin veil covering his racism would occasionally get thrown off in moments like this.
Iraq is a crappy place filled with a bunch of, semi-literate primitive monkeys. But I just have zero sympathy for them or their culture, a culture where people just don't use toilet paper or forks.
Okay, that isn't just incredibly offensive. It's also the kind of fact.
It's also literally untrue, especially because Muslims wash themselves fucking 5 times a day and literally have bidets. So if anything, Tucker Carlson's wasp ass is literally less clean than the average fucking Iraqi's asshole, okay? That's the reality, so shut the fuck up, you dumb, dirty ass cheek, fucking a brown streaking in your fucking white tighty whities motherfucker.
Free cultural hot take that is the essential Tucker Carlson experience. Because while it is clearly by no means the most important thing there, for the record,
skid mark
table forks were apparently first used in the Middle East and Byzantine Empire and were still conspicuously absent in Europe until centuries later. In fact, when the niece of a Byzantine emperor brought a case of forks to Venice for her wedding feast in the 11th century, she was roundly condemned by the local clergy for her decadence, with one saying, God in his wisdom has provided man with natural forks, his fingers, therefore it is an insult to him to substitute artificial metal forks for them when eating, which is absolutely fascinating because it's not just a full refutation of Tucker's lazy racism, it's also a very fun fork fact. Fork fact! Fork facts are fun! The point is, when you know how Tucker speaks when he speaks freely,
I think my take was a little bit better than the fork fact, but the fork fact's pretty good too.
The filter through which he processes the world for his audience becomes painfully apparent because he is smart enough not to openly say into a camera that certain races are more deserving of scorn or less worthy of respect. He will just heavily imply that depending on who he's talking about. Take the Capitol riots. Tucker said that he deplored the violence, but repeatedly compelled his viewers to try and understand where the demonstrators were coming from.
On January 6th, we had a riot at the U.S. Capitol. Why did that happen? It happened because millions of American voters were convinced that the last election was not fair. Where did they get that idea? Well, it wasn't simply because the last president told them so. You're hearing that now as if they're animals who take commands and do what they're told, but they're not animals. They're people, they're American citizens who can see what's happening and come to their own conclusions about it. They saw the radical increase in mail-in voting, millions did, and it corroded their faith and the public's faith in our systems of election.
I mean, you're kind of admitting that you literally agitated them to the degree to act like fucking animals, implying that they are literal fucking hogs or sheep, whichever one you prefer, but they are hogs, to behave like fucking hogs, especially because you're condemning the violent actions that they engaged in. Therefore, you're basically, again, doing a self-report where you're saying, oh no, we kept lying to them about the integrity of the elections to the degree where they like got so agitated that they took action and 5 people died.
Okay, hold on. People didn't think the election was rigged because they saw an increase in mail-in voting. They thought that because people like you repeatedly told them the election was rigged. And that plea for understanding there is especially hard to take when you contrast it with how he reacted to last summer's Black Lives Matter protests.
People like this don't bother to work. They don't volunteer or pay taxes to help other people. They live for themselves. They do exactly what they feel like doing. They say exactly what they feel like saying. They spray paint their opinions on buildings. On television, hour by hour, we watch these people, criminal mobs, destroy what the rest of us have built. They have no right to do that. They don't contribute to the common good. They never have. Yet suddenly they seem to have all the power.
Well, that's quite a different tone. And it is interesting to see who gets to be American citizens who came to their own conclusions and who gets to be criminal mobs who destroy what the rest of us have built. And it does seem like the divide...
Okay, I gotta run the ad now. I waited after the raid for a little bit, but it's top of the hour every hour. It's time for a 6-second ad break. It's the second of the day, boys. Okay, get excited for it. I did not run the ad yet. I'm gonna run it now. If you no longer want to see the ads from the ad-free broadcasting experience, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. If you haven't already used it on, your other streamers, you can use it here on your favorite streamer, me, hopefully. Here's the ad now. I'm starting the video again.
The dividing line for Tucker on that question is, how easily can you sunburn? And look, my point here isn't that Tucker is inconsistent in addressing two violent protests in vastly different ways. It's that he's actually incredibly consistent. Because in both instances, his clear takeaway is that white people should be terrified at the idea of any situation where they aren't in power. The main narrative of Tucker's show is that power is being taken away from you, his viewer, and that this needs to be resisted. He's run segments just asking questions, remember, like how exactly is diversity our strength, and has argued not just that it isn't, but that it's a threat to our existence as a cohesive country. In fact, he'll often call to resist that threat with an interesting choice of phrase.
Western civilization is our birthright. It makes all good things possible. Undefended, it collapses, and so we've got to fight to preserve it. It's a war, with one side trying to erase all remnants of its opponent, in this case, Western civilization. Is the culture into its...
Why are you guys throwing out mankas? Like, have you never heard me cover this? There's a really good Media Matters video from a while back that I used to showcase all the time that straight up puts Tucker Carlson's rhetoric side by side with white nationalists, like avowed white nationalists. I'm not talking like, that guy's a Nazi. You think everyone's a Nazi? Like, no, like literal fucking I'm a Nazi type Nazis saying the exact same things that Tucker Carlson is saying. Okay, like I'll show you guys.
They're coming.
Wait, what is this?
The Western civilization.
14 words. The
famous white supremacist
civilization we're talking about superior to the culture that these immigrants are bringing. Do you think it's possible to move a large Muslim population into the West and successfully integrate them into Western culture? Have you seen that anywhere?
Yeah, for
I wonder if there's a country that actually benefited tremendously from that and is the economic engine fueling the entirety of the European Union that literally benefited, again, tremendously from an immigration program where they took a fuckload of Muslim immigrants and integrated them into a country. I just can't think of a single fucking country that did that. Oh, wait, they did do that. That country's called Germany, a country that Tucker Carlson probably thinks is too pussified now because, you know, they're not like they used to be. Back in 1938, that's when Germany was really great. There was a man who wanted to make Germany great again. But a lot of liberals decided that this was unacceptable. They fought long and hard. That's a day, that's a time that we need to go back to.
Tucker, it seems Western civilization is somehow both the mighty and essential bedrock upon which all modern human existence is built, and also a delicate house of cards that will collapse if you so much as look at it wrong. And again, he will be careful not to verbally link race and civilization like he's calling into a Love Sponges radio show in 2006, but he will occasionally dance incredibly close to it.
Let me just stipulate, I'm for getting along, I'm for colorblindness, I'm for tolerance, 100%. But I also think that if things radically change in your country, it's okay for you to say, what is this? And maybe I don't want to live in a country that looks nothing like the country I grew up in. Is that bigoted?
Yeah.
Literally. Like, that is literally bigotry, which is hilarious because Tucker Carlson does a very good job. That is the definition of bigotry. But he does a very good job of taking something and making it seem like it's not exactly what he's saying. Like, I don't understand. I just want to oppress black people. Does that make me a racist? Black people are different than white people. I don't understand. You wouldn't want, he'll like do a self-report and say something along the lines of like, you wouldn't want random strangers inside of your familial gatherings. So why can't you apply that to different ethnic backgrounds? Like that's literally, you're just being racist. Like you are being bigoted. You're saying it in like simple terms to make it seem as though what you're saying is just normal common sense. But like, no, that's pretty fucking bigoted, my dude.
Yeah, it is. That's like saying, I've got 10 fingers and toes, a pointy face with a little pink rosebud mouth, a cat-sized body, a long weird tail, and I eat garbage. Does that make me a possum? Yes. Yes, it does. That's the literal definition of the thing you just described. And that is the whole thing with Tucker. He might not say black or white. He'll insist that he's for colorblindness. He'll build in deniability by phrasing things as a question like, what does racism look like? While kind of embodying the answer. But when you put all of this together, the pattern is clear. He is scared of a country that looks nothing like the one he grew up in because diversity isn't our strength. Immigrants make our country poorer, dirtier, and more divided, and any attempt to change that culture is an attack on Western civilization. All of which is really just a long way of saying that when Tucker asks, what is white supremacy? The answer is basically that. It's a belief that in a country where white people are dominant, that's all down to their natural and innate abilities, and any effort to change that is an affront to the natural order of things. So it's frankly no wonder that that guy's family watches Tucker twice a night. Of course Tucker has been endorsed by white supremacists. James Alsop, a far-right activist who marched in Charlottesville, once said this to a conference room full of fellow white supremacists.
An example of someone engaging in very effective rhetoric is, of course, Tucker Carlson. Tucker is helping mainstream conservatives change the way.
I like that they're crediting Identity Europa, like, for this video, by the way. Identity Europa, literal white supremacist organization. America First Media, literal white supremacist organization. The person who's talking right now is a literal white supremacist. Just for the record, no ands, ifs, or buts. Like, these are actual fucking Nazis, okay? They're white supremacists. They are the real deal. Like, this isn't just some, like, oh, they're calling every conservative a white supremacist. Like, these are guys who actually take matters in their own fucking hands. Like, these are self-identified white supremacists, okay?
The way they think about politics and causing a massive swath of Trump voters to look deeper into many of the issues that we already talk about. The left is aware of what he's doing, and he's aware of what he's doing, so it works phenomenally.
Oh, that might be the single worst laugh I have ever heard. And I say that as someone who has almost forgotten what human laughter sounds like. I've been stuck inside Casper's arsehole for 12 long months now. I'm so desperate to hear the response of a live audience. But if it is a neo-Nazi chuckle ping-ponging off the walls of a hotel ballroom, I think I might be out. And look, if everything I've shown you tonight somehow still isn't enough, let's hear from a literal former grand wizard of white supremacists, David Duke. He's not only tweeted approvingly about Tucker in the past, saying Tucker is right and can't cuck the tuck, which, as all Tucker viewers know, refers to when a humiliated man watches his wife have an affair. Duke even has a podcast where he sometimes just recaps Tucker's segments from the night before. Last year, when endorsing Trump for president, Duke even suggested that Tucker Carlson should be his VP, explaining Tucker's value to the white supremacist cause like this.
And he doesn't use the word white very often, but that's the underlying message that he's showing. And he shows that there is massive racism in America against white people, while at the same time saying there's no systematic racism. But people get the message.
Yeah, people do get the message. Although, to be fair, it's not like it's written in a complex code. It's a walking...
Dude, the funny thing about Tucker Carlson is, you know how, like, I used to make this joke about how, like, what would it take for someone to be racist or someone to be considered a Nazi in America? Old friends of the show remember when I used to, back in the day when I used to like debate viewers and shit from time to time, there was that one guy who unironically told me, is a famous clip, unironically told me that the leader of the American Nazi Party was not actually a Nazi because he had never said, I am a Nazi. Okay? Because he had not called himself a Nazi, despite the fact that he was literally the leader of the American Nazi Party. So, like, that's basically what it is for Tucker Carlson. Like, white supremacists think he's a white supremacist. He openly channels white supremacist rhetoric, sometimes literally saying the exact same things that white supremacists say. But for some reason, a lot of his fans refuse to admit that he is a fucking white supremacist, except for like actual white supremacists. They love that, but that's it.
Yacht club, scrunching his face up for an hour every night and saying to a conservative audience...
Oh, here's the clip. Are you gonna pay up? You gonna give me a fucking $100 or what's up?
Not one of those people said they were Nazis, bro. That was exactly what I said. You said.
Wait. So the leader of the former leader of the American Nazi Party, he's still not a Nazi in your perspective.
He never said he was a Nazi, and that was literally what I said.
Oh no! Oh no, dude! Oh no! God damn, that microphone is so doo-doo.
And did any of these people win? Getting hysterical like this doesn't prove your point at all, dude.
Oh my god! What? He said getting hysterical like this doesn't prove your point.
Audience, they are coming for you in modulating tones. We're not exactly in riddle of the Sphinx territory here. And all of this is why, as tempting as it is to dismiss the controversy that follows Tucker every week as one more artifact of our outrage culture, it's important to remember that what Tucker is saying is fucking outrageous. Because no one in their right mind would sit down, pop in their headphones, fire up David Duke's podcast and think, hey, I'm not a white supremacist. But millions of people...
How many people are attending these Nazi rallies? The problem is, white supremacy is an underlying fundamental in American civilization, both in its inception and still permeates through all of our institutions to this day. So this notion that, like, where are the Nazis? Show me the fucking literal Nazis is idiotic when the Republican Party, for the most part, or even some liberals, will maintain white supremacist ideas as a consequence of social conditioning. It is normalized. Anytime you fucking talk to someone who has this opinion that, like, police absolutely need to fuck up black people because they're just more violent, because they're just doing more crimes, that's white supremacist ideology working its way through the minds of people who don't recognize that they're being fucking racist. That's how it works, okay? This is it. That's the reality. They're not thinking too deeply into the conditions in which, the conditions that black people are subjected to, for example, And ultimately, it goes back to their culture, brother. Or if they're one notch above that, as far as racism goes, their genetic predisposition. That's how it fucking works. Okay? So the reality is, Tucker Carlson and many other really nefarious white supremacists or WASP nationalists or WASP supremacists, whatever the fuck you want to call them, can absolutely get away with just, oh, this is just common sense. I mean, these people are very violent, and cops need to stop these people from being violent. That's what police officers do. So that's, you know, they don't need to straight up say like black people are inferior to white people. They can rely on every part of American culture reinforcing this false narrative over and over again, so they can just fall back on this is just common sense. Also, as far as like Nazis being a problem, the House GOP's number 3 leader recently urged Republicans to make clear they're not the party of white supremacy. 2 days later, one of their members spoke at a conference organized by a known white nationalist. So, like, meanwhile, people are looking at the fucking Nordic runes on stage at CPAC, but you have guys, Paul Gosar, literally going and speaking at the America First conference because he was invited by a fucking actual, like, Holocaust denying American Nazi. But going back to the Tucker Carlson rhetoric, white supremacist, what does that mean? What is a white nationalist? I'm white. I'm a nationalist. Am I going to be a white nationalist? This is what liberals want to do. Like, that's literally, that's it. That's the argument. And this argument goes to such a degree that Candace Owens, remember, Candace Owens, who now has a job with the Daily Wire, okay? The Daily Wire is Ben Shabibo's outlet. Candace Owens now has a podcast with them. She once famously said, Hitler just wanted to make Germany great. It became a problem when he decided to go to other countries. Like, he decided to invade other countries. This is something Candace Owens literally fucking said. Okay? And Ben Shabibo, the number 1 anti-Semitism defeater on the internet, was like, "Oh yeah, that's good. This is a person that I want to. This is a person that I want to employ." Yeah, she said Hitler was a globalist. Candace Owens, a black woman, is a white supremacist. I know there aren't enough cultural references that show black people also playing a significant role from time to time. Certain black people playing a significant role in uplifting or becoming soldiers, foot soldiers for white supremacy. So, you know, I was just born, so I have no idea how that works. I mean, what is Uncle Ruckus, for example, JLP, Candace Owens, you know, who knows? That's never happened before, so. Yeah. Republicans be like, liberals say you can't be racist if you're black or brown, and then literally turn around and they're like, well, she's black, she can't be racist.
Watch Tucker on TV every night, spouting well-laundered versions of pretty much the same talking points. And there is real harm in that. Because while white supremacy is clearly dangerous when promoted by self-avowed white supremacists, it can actually be even more dangerous when it isn't. And what Tucker Carlson's show sells, in addition to utterly terrible pillows, is very seductive. It's the idea that this country is fundamentally colorblind, that anyone who mentions race is just trying to start trouble, that historic oppression is no longer relevant, and that in fact you, his viewers, are the ones currently being oppressed. And if he can sell his audience on his white identity politics, if he can persuade them that the big existential threat to America right now is diversity, it sort of doesn't matter if he says aloud what his preferred solutions to that might be. And while it's bad enough to hear that white supremacist families gather around to watch Tucker twice? The fact is, millions of viewers a night watch him once, and once is already more than enough.
Here is the comments of Candace Owens.
Yeah, I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets, the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German, everybody to look at different.
Yeah, like when Hitler's machinations for Germany revolved around euthanizing Jews and people with disabilities, Romanis, socialists and communists. Like this was a design that Candace Owens is comfortable with. It's when Hitler decided to fucking invade like Poland. That's when it was a big problem. Okay, everything beyond that was good. What a fucking psychopath. Ben Shabibo gave this person a job. You can literally never, ever act like you give a single shred of a fuck about anti-Semitism, Ben Shabibo. If this is the person that you fucking hire, Ben Shabibo in the past has literally defended Ann Coulter. When Ann Coulter, straight the fuck up, was being anti-Semitic. Ann Coulter is the OG firebrand, right? The conservative firebrand. Like, she is the OG Tabitha Lauren. And Ben Shabibo's defense for Ann Coulter, straight up, and I shit you not, was, well, actually, it comes across as anti-Semitic, what she's saying, but she defends Israel, so it's okay. He said it. You won't catch Ben Shabibo slipping now, but that is the motivating principle.
Different way. That's not, to me, that's not nationalism. In thinking about how it could go bad down the line, I don't really have an issue with nationalism. I really don't. I think that it's okay. It's important to retain your country's identity and to make sure that what's happening here, which I think is incredibly worrisome in terms of the decrease in the birth rate that we're seeing in the UK, is what you kind of want to avoid. So I don't have I have no problems with nationalism.
Yeah. It's always the ultra wealthy that are like that are promoting globalism, right? It's never these fucking dipshits that only exist because billionaires fucking fund their programs and everything else. Like they get literally paid infinity dollars to say these dumbass things and like rile up the hogs. But those same billionaires, they're not like fake nationalists, right? They're not like implementing fake nationalism. Fucking bullshit. Anyway, that was a good video by Tucker. That was a good video by our boy John Oliver. Tucker Carlson blowing up off the air at historian Rutger Bregman. I know, Bregman. I know, we've covered it on the show as well. I don't really get the decrease of birth rate argument. Is the only purpose of a community to multiply? It is a direct white supremacist argument, my friend. Look at this juror who was just selected to serve on the jury for the Chauvin trial. No, I'm not going to get into that right now. Oh, and Ben is fine with anyone who's alt-right as long as they're pro-Israel, and he despises Jews if they disagree with them politically, which is the vast majority in the U.S., so the difference is even smaller than that. Ann Coulter tweets, Jews awful, nonsensical. Ann Coulter is also super pro-Israel and has always been so I won't lose sleep. Jewish people has always been plagued with by bad Jews who undermine it from within. In America, those bad Jews largely vote Democrat. Jews in name only, ginos. Like, Ben has always maintained the position that, you need to be a reactionary conservative Jew in order to be a real Jew and also, defend Israel. And that's the only way you can be a real Jew. What's your take on the local police department posting mugshots on Facebook every day? I don't know what to say about that. You sure you want to call it Gino? What would you call it? I don't fucking know. New rule, giant clitoris erected in Paris for International Women's Day, losing to China. Let's see what the fucking...
And finally, new rule, you're not going to win the battle for the 21st century if you are a silly people. And Americans...
For the record, I hate Bill Maher. After Bill Maher, we're going to get to Bill Burr, actually. From Bill Maher to Bill Burr, we're going to do a segue. New rule, let's see what the fuck this old reactionary boomer fucking liberal dipshit has to say.
Are silly people. That's the classic phrase from Lawrence of Arabia when Lawrence tells his Bedouin allies that as long as they stay a bunch of squabbling tribes, they will remain a silly people. Well, we're the silly people now. Do you know who doesn't care that there's a stereotype of a Chinese man in a Dr. Seuss book? China. All 1.4 billion of them could give a crouching tiger flying fuck. Because they're not a silly people. If anything, they are as serious as a prison fight. Look, we all...
Who the fuck claps at that? That was a terrible joke. There's truth to this. Like, a lot of fucking Chinese people don't give a shit, or a lot of, like, people that aren't immigrants in the country, in the United States, like, yeah, of course they don't give a shit about fucking cultural appropriation. Why the fuck would they care? Like, yeah, you know who does care, though? Like, fucking Chinese people living in America, like Chinese Americans. They're not just Chinese Americans, literally fucking all Asians. They give a shit. That's the point. Okay? And there are ridiculous fucking takes. Like, you can't wear a kimono, sweaty. You are fucking appropriating my cultural blah, 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 blah. Like, that sort of shit is dumb. Okay? It goes way too fucking far. Tumblr politics is ridiculous. But in this situation, like, this is not the end-all, be-all of politics. Why the fuck are you hyper-focusing on this idiotic shit when no one should give a fuck about Dr. Seuss? And no one really does give a fuck about Dr. Seuss.
We all know China does bad stuff. They break promises about Hong Kong autonomy. They put Uyghurs in camps and punish dissent. And we don't want to be that. But it's got to be something between authoritarian government that tells everyone what to do and a representative government that can't do anything at all. In 2 generations, China has built 500 entire cities from scratch, moved the majority of their huge population from poverty to the middle
base Dengist, Bill Maher
class, and mostly cornered the market in 5G and pharmaceuticals. Oh, and they bought Africa. Their new Silk Road initiative is the biggest infrastructure...
Wait, he's right, though. What the fuck? None of the shit that he's talked about so far is wrong.
...project in history, indebting not just that continent, but large parts of Asia, Europe, and the Middle East to the people who built their roads, bridges, and ports. If you want to go anywhere in the world these days, you better have a yen for travel. Yen for travel. Oh, stop it. In China alone, they have 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail. America has none. Our fastest train is the tram that goes around the zoo. California wanted to build high-speed rail connecting the entire state, but alas, could not. We're $6 billion in the hole just trying to finish the track connecting the vital hubs of Bakersfield and Merced. One small step for nobody, one giant leap if you're a raisin. On a national level, we've been having Infrastructure Week every week.
It's really bad because he's just not funny at all. I think it's because, like, I don't know what it is. I feel like maybe he, like, tunes into a frequency that you can only understand if you were born in, like, 1948. You know what I mean? Like, no one else can comprehend what he's saying except for, like, our parents who watch and go, hey, man, that's hilarious. It's fucking funny, dude.
Since 2009, but we never do anything. Half the country is having a never-ending woke competition deciding whether Mr. Potato Head has a dick. And the other half believes we have to stop the lizard people because they're eating babies. We are a silly people. Even when we all agree on something, like getting rid of the penny. No, The inertia, the ass covering, the graft, the lawyers, the cowardice. Nothing ever moves in this impacted colon of a country. We see a problem and we ignore it, lie about it, fight about it, endlessly litigate it, sunset clause it, kick it down the road, and then write a bill where a half-assed solution doesn't kick in for 10 years. China...
Guys, the reason why China's been able to do all this is because they don't give a fuck about Dr. Seuss. Like, that's the whole point, okay? That's why. So, the thing that he's right about is, like, we as an American people are too preoccupied with culture war bullshit. But he himself is too preoccupied with culture war bullshit all the fucking time. Especially if you are not following up on who gives a fuck about Dr. Seuss. Shut the fuck up. Let's make some high-speed rail, goddammit. And here's how you do it. If you don't follow that take up with the reason why we can't create high-speed rail in this country is a consequence of wealthy benefactors that do not want there to be a legitimate infrastructure for public transit, car manufacturers, oil and gas extractors. These are the reasons why we can't have this. And the only way to fight back against this is to organize and push against your politicians to make sure that they remember that you ultimately vote for them and that their coffers will be lined up by those very same large businesses, but you won't fucking vote for them and you'll primary them out. Like, we need some sort of organization. That is a part that never comes because Bill Maher doesn't give a fuck about making change. The only reason why he's bringing this up is so he can use it as a talking point against the Dr. Seuss shit.
China sees a problem and they fix it. They build a dam. We debate what to rename it.
Literally only the conservatives are talking about those two issues. You're fucking delusional if you think that, by the way. That's not true. Conservatives do not give a fuck about infrastructure. They never have. You have been suckered into believing that they care about anything beyond just, making money for their daddies. You are no different than a Trump supporter if you legitimately believe that conservatives give a fuck. Like, you think liberals are ridiculous, delusional for believing that, the Democratic Party genuinely cares about racism or some shit. You are just as delusional if you think Republicans give a single shit.
That's why their airports look like this, and ours look like this. In San Francisco, it took 10 years.
He means Dr. Seuss, you himbo? Wait, what? Oh, okay. Sorry. You meant Dr. Seuss, not infrastructure.
Just to get 2 bus lines through environmental review. The Big Dig, a tunnel in Boston, took 16 years. And don't get me started on my solar hookup. China once put up a 57-story skyscraper in 19 days. They demolished and rebuilt the San Yuan Bridge in Beijing in 43 hours. We binge watch, they binge build. When COVID hit Wuhan, the city built a quarantine center with 4,000 rooms in 10 days.
She was crazy.
And they barely had to use it because they quickly arrested the spread of the disease. They were back to throwing raves in swimming pools. Well, we were stuck at home surfing the dark web for black market Charmin.
Okay, Bill Maher is a dangus, boys. I didn't realize that he had such... I mean, he's right. Everything he said about China is correct. All facts, no printer so far. By the way, when I say this shit, people fucking freak out and say, I am the #1 China defender. I love the CCP. I want to have sex with Xi Jinping. I want Xi Jinping to fucking clap my cheeks. And I'm a Chinese spy. And, when I say that, everyone loses their minds. But he's completely correct. China is fucking owning the entire world. And also on top of that, Western supremacy or Western civilization has shown to be a failure when it comes to dealing with pandemics. It's just the fucking truth. I've been saying this since the beginning of the pandemic last year. For more than 365 fucking days, I have said time and time again that if there's anything that this COVID situation has shown us, it is that Western nations are completely incapable of dealing with pandemics, and we will get fucking completely wiped out. Absolutely wiped out. by whatever the next pandemic is.
We're not losing to China. We lost. The returns just haven't all come in yet. They made robots that check a kid's temperature and got their asses back in school. Most of our kids are still pretending to take Zoom classes while they watch TikTok and their brain cells slowly commit ritual suicide. As George Bush once said, is our children learning? There's a progressive trend now to sacrifice merit for equity. Colleges are chucking the SAT and ACT test, and in New York, Mayor de Blasio announced merit would no longer decide who gets into the schools for advanced learners, but rather a lottery system. You think China's doing that, letting political correctness get in the way of nurturing their best and brightest? You think Chinese colleges are offering courses in the philosophy of Star Trek, the sociology of Seinfeld?
Wait, why is that a problem? Like, what? No, I'm sorry. If you go to a Chinese college, actually, the only thing you learn is work in mine and you know, factory. That's what they're teaching in China, in the Chinese colleges. Like, yeah, I'm sure there's some fucking dumbass, or not even dumbass. Like, I'm sure there's fucking crazy, like, higher level courses in China too. Like, in Chinese colleges. What kind of fucking idiotic take is this? I just don't fucking understand how you can make an argument like this. It's just an old man getting upset at the clouds over and over again. I love that. Elective education should be abolished. Okay, dude. Real interesting that a fucking alcoholic comedian at the age of 68 is telling us that, you know, liberal arts universities and elective courses are fucking bullshit. The fuck are you doing? What have you done with your life, dumbass? It's so dumb. The only thing he's correct with his comparison, the only correct comparison with how things are in China and how different it is in America is the standardized testing. When he talks about standardized testing, he's correct. To my knowledge, China does not fuck around, or Chinese culture does not fuck around with standardized testing. As a matter of fact, it's a cultural. It is literally like a cultural footprint that is very different than Western meritocracy, which is overall fake. But in China, as a consequence of standardized testing and as a consequence of fucking working hard or whatever, you can literally uplift your family, or at least in older Chinese culture, you had the capacity of uplifting your family if you demonstrated value within the school system and straight up go from being a peasant to a higher level of government, or at least work for someone in a higher level of government. So that still is a cultural remnant. If standardized testing, are you kidding? They kill themselves over it. Yeah, that's I just said that China doesn't have standardized testing. I'm glad that you caught that when I was just describing how important standardized testing is in Chinese culture. What? That's Korea? What are you talking about? That's Korea. What? What are you guys saying to me right now?
And surviving the coming zombie apocalypse, those are real. And so is China, and they are eating our lunch. And believe me, in an hour, they'll be hungry again.
Oh God, that's so bad. All right, let's watch real comedy, okay? Liberty motherfucking hangout, baby. Let's go. Let's go. It's Boo Boo Bennett time, okay? This is the fucking last thing that I'm gonna watch as far as the reacts. Oh wait, hold on. Actually, we're gonna do a quick break here. One, both Assemblywoman Inez Dickens from Manhattan and the attorney who worked with Cuomo in the executive chamber for more than 2 years feel the governor's being railroaded Historically, white women's unsubstantiated claims that black males were propositioning, whistled at, or recklessly eyeballing them led to hundreds, if not thousands, of black males being brutally lynched and murdered, most notably 14-year-old Emmett Till. Love when the defense of the Italian Man Brigade comes in to say, you know, my Italian powerful person in a station like a governance inside of the governor's mansion is being treated like 14-year-old Emmett Till in Jim Crow South. Yes, my Italians are black. Okay, there's no other way to put it, folks. You know this already. Giabucci knows this. Giabucci Lastrasi knows this. I'm sick and tired of hiding the truth. Okay. Yes, Italians are POC. Next level bat take. Incredible defense. Italian X against hate. Andrew Cuomo's cronies are weaponizing against Italian X heritage to defend the indefensible. Italian X are not. Here are some ways you can support Italian X culture during these times. 1. Respect history. You wouldn't bring up Princess Peach's kidnapping around Nana because there is real trauma and suffering there. Give other cultures the same respect. We talk with our hands, but we keep them to ourselves. Doing otherwise is antithetical to Italian X culture. 3. Italian X are not a monolith. No two raviolis are the same. This also goes for Italian X's. To suggest otherwise is not amore. For fuck's sake, can we stop putting X's in everything? This is a meme, dude. Anyway. Bro, you are not being amore. So, yeah, we have Bill Burr being canceled, but, like, not really. I just wanted to quickly talk about, like, you know how there used to be this thing called Fave Star, right? Like, on Twitter, there was a celebration of this bot would, like, celebrate you for fucking having a tweet that got widely shared and distributed. I think what has happened since then is, like, back in the day, people used to make, like, really, really dumb fucking jokes that are bottom of the barrel so they could get, like, TV writing gigs and shit, right? Then something happened where instead people on Twitter recognized that the best fucking way that they could reach that they could reach the halls of Asgard in Twitter Asgard was to be just like either against, like vehemently against cancel culture and SJW shit, or vehemently for SJW shit. Okay, Twitter has gone from like writing really dumb doo-doo brained bullshit that like some other fucking smaller account wrote before you and tweeting it out so you can get a fucking comedy gig at a TV show, into I am going to be fucking outraged on a thing that is just that no one gives a fuck about. Like literally no one gives a fuck about. You don't even give a fuck about it while you're straight up typing it one way or the other. And this is unironically a both sides situation. We rarely ever get one of these, so I'm going to talk about this right now. Bill Burr said this.
Was I the only one who wanted to kill himself during that piano solo?
No. This isn't the one. Hold on. Where is it? Where the fuck is it? Where the fuck is it? Where is it? He says something about like, he said white feminists are going to cancel him or some shit. Is that one? Is it this one? Okay, maybe it's this one. Let's watch.
I bought a suit for this. I thought I was going to be on TV. I'm such a moron. I am losing so much money right now. All right, shout out to all the rock stars that I wanted to meet tonight who are watching at home instead. I'm talking to you, Don Dawkins. All right? What, I'm old. That was my first concert. All right, here are the next categories. All right. Hey, how many feminists are like going nuts? So why is this cis white male doing all this Latino stuff?
So He said that, and then like it wasn't even. I mean, it's true. It's funny as fuck. Okay. One, it's true. Two, it's like not even fucking that good of a joke ultimately. And three, people did get mad at this because they tried to get mad at it, but like I don't think anyone actually gets mad at shit like this. I think whenever things like this happen, people just want to act like they're mad. There's no fucking way. And the same overzealous horniness can be seen on both sides of the equation.